Hi everyone, I'm Andy McNamara, Editor-in-Chief of Game Informer magazine. I'm here with Matt Burtz and Matt Helgeson, and we are here today to discuss Grand Theft Auto V. As I'm sure you've already seen our story, it's available digitally and coming to subscriber inboxes around the world as we speak. I know people have been really excited about this, so we want to do something different, and that we wanted to sit down and kind of discuss our travels, discuss seeing the game, and just kind of give you some overall impressions of our experience. These two are the experts on our little panel here. So I wanted to ask you, before we left for New York City to go see the game, what did you guys expect to see from Grand Theft Auto V?
Well, we didn't know what to expect, honestly. We've been talking with them a long time about when can we talk, when can we talk, when can we talk? And, we never really got to the point where they shared much. We just flew out to New York to check it out. So I didn't know what to expect. I think part of me was kind of suspecting that they were going to do something with multiple protagonists. I thought it really worked when you looked at the Grand Theft Auto 4 episodes together. You had 3 different perspectives, very different. It made the city feel more alive. And I thought maybe they could build off that. So
certainly everyone thought that was a hint of the future.
But outside of that, I didn't know what to expect. I had speculated, I wonder if they're going to use the motion scan technology we saw in LA Noire. We really didn't know, so.
I thought maybe in the same way that GTA 4 was sort of them readdressing GTA 3 and Liberty City with the new engine and the kind of technology they have now. I thought they would just, sort of make a bigger, better version of San Andreas. So I probably didn't even expect what we got, and I would have been happy with that. I mean, obviously, it's when you see the game, it's amazing the world that they could build. But I kind of was a little more skeptical about those rumors going in.
We were actually just walking down this nondescript street, we thought we were going to Rockstar's headquarters, and then we all of a sudden took a left, and we were like, let's go get some coffee or something. And then they opened a door, and we went to this place where we went to go check out the game, which was, we got to see the game on a huge theater screen, which was a great way to view the game. So, I think we say for everyone, we were pretty shocked by what we saw almost immediately. We had a view of Michael sitting next poolside with basically a layout of the city in front of him. We were like, what is this on? I mean, that really was our first question. So let's talk about that a little bit.
Well, this game's been in development. They started prototyping, pretty much right after Grand Theft Auto 4. So it's been worked on for a long time, and they announced 360 PS3, which I think we were kind of expecting. The other question we asked is, are they going to do PC? They didn't do PC for Red Dead, which I think surprised a lot of people because GTA 4 was really popular with the mod community.
And hugely popular.
They did a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah, and a lot of crazy things that an open world game kind of has, and that letting people play with, really got explored and expanded in that world.
Mm-hmm. But they were pretty non-committal. They said, we're announcing these two. We don't know if they're going to expand it later. Sometimes their PC games come out later and they don't announce them until later. So we're not sure, but as of right now, it's 360 PS3.
Well, what's your guys' gut on that?
I bet they'll do a PC one, but later. In terms of probably more than 6 months later, I would imagine. It's obviously a thriving market right now, and they did Max Payne 3, and I think that uses the same Rage engine. And I have no knowledge or strict intel on that or anything, but I'm gonna gut no on Wii U just because it's such a expensive proposition to bring it to a system, and they don't really know, is the install base going to be there?
Yeah, and they've gambled with Nintendo in the past. Grand Theft Auto Chinatown Wars for the DS, which I thought was a great title.
Yeah.
It just didn't find its market there.
So let's get to the meat. So at this point we're excited to see what it's on. They're actually playing it live. Why don't you guys kind of walk us through the demo and your impressions?
Well, it starts with, Michael sitting on his, right in front of his pool. He lives in the affluent neighborhood of Rockford Hills, which is their Beverly Hills. You see the mansion kind of behind him. He's got a tennis court down there. And in the background, you can see downtown Los Santos.
And it's a beautiful shot, too.
Yeah,
it really is.
He's the retired banker, or bank robber. He got a sweetheart deal that was really unconventional with the FIB, which is their FBI in the GTA world, and so he got to keep a lot of the money. We don't know all the details of what went down there. We're looking at his life, and it looks like the idyllic life. And then he gets up and he walks inside, and his daughter's there playing, a fake Just Dance.
Yeah. And that was funny.
And she throws a one-liner out at her dad. It's called Exercise. Why don't you try it sometime? You can see right from the get-go, he's supposed to have this perfect life, but he doesn't seem comfortable in it. Then you see his wife come out, and she's got a shopping bag, and they tell us that she's basically spent all his money
Yeah.
And as
Didn't
she's
she
walking
say,
out,
if you want to know where I am, look at your credit card receipts.
yeah, exactly. As she walks away, and then he says, like, well, I'm feeling lucky. Maybe I'll check the hospitals. So they're clearly not a happy.
Well, yeah, they're like screaming. They're not talking to each other. They're like screaming at each other.
Yeah.
I mean, there's definitely like it's not the happy home.
And
Yeah,
the thing that I thought was interesting is I think some of the Rockstar guys talked about is that Michael's he basically achieved what a lot of Rockstar protagonists wanted.
Yes.
He led a life of crime. He got rich. He got out with his freedom intact. He's got the big house. He's got the trophy wife. But even when everything went according to plan, he's miserable. You know what I mean? So like the flip side to success isn't always what you think it's going to be. And I think it's kind of a cool contrast because this is what everyone else in other GTAs, like that would be their ideal situation.
Exactly. She takes off in the nice sports car, the Sentinel XS, and he's left. He goes in the garage, and all that's left is a bicycle. So it's like the return of the San Andreas bicycle, which is one of the first things you rode with CJ. And he gets on the bike, and we go through this tour of Rockford Hills, and it's really cool. They have rolling hills, kind of. It's like more slanted. It's not just like a flat surface,
Yeah, it looked like more like an area like in near Wilshire, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like
yeah,
in LA,
yeah.
it's what it totally reminded me of. And you could and it was amazing too, like some of the details you could catch from the side, like they have the sprinklers running, and you could hear them
Yeah.
The
gardeners are working, on the landscaping. And
he was
stuff
wearing
like
flip-flops, I remember, for a little detail. You could see his flip-flops kind of flopping around as he walked around the pool.
And as the bike nerd, I noticed that it had like the flywheel and the chain like engaged sounds. I mean, like the sound effects were like in full effect, and it really worked. I don't know if that's how they're opening the game or anything like that, but it certainly was like, all right, let's get it on.
And then they mentioned, and this is just one of the 3 protagonists you get to play as, and now we're going to jump to the next one. And the way it jumped was really cool, like basically like Google Earth. You just go like, whoop, and then you're up, and like you have this satellite view of Los Santos, and then it moves over a bit, and then you drop right into the next character. And it's this crazy madman psychopath, Trevor, who's sitting on the toilet struggling with constipation, saying he needs a midwife for this thing. It's like that classic Rockstar humor coming through.
I mean, I was pretty blown away. I mean, what was your guys like? I mean, I certainly was not expecting seamless transitions like that.
Yeah, I mean, we'd heard the rumors about multiple protagonists, but I figured it would sort of be, parallel paths where, say, you play 5 missions as Michael, and now you switch over, and here's 5 missions as somebody else, and here's 5 missions as somebody else. Sort of like all the episodes from Liberty City just sort of, intertwined.
Yep.
But this was just, I mean, in an open world, the technology that, has to go into, like, being able to just select somebody on a little wheel and, go over here and jack into somebody that's, the equivalent of what, like 50 miles away from where Michael is, and do it on the fly was just... I mean, it's jaw-dropping. The technology that they have and what they've done with the Rage engine is if it works how it looked like it worked, I mean, it's really a hell of a bit of programming that has gone into this game.
Yeah, the possibilities that they give you for dropping into the 3 characters, because they're going about their daily lives when you're not with them. They're doing random stuff. So every time you drop into a character, they might be doing something completely different. They might be in a bar fight. They might be just about to play tennis, which introduces the tennis minigame.
Exactly.
Like they really gives Rockstar an opportunity to put you in interesting places that maybe a lot of people, there was a lot of stuff on the cell phone in GTA 4 that some people complained there wasn't stuff to do. There was a ton to do. It's just all on their phone. This is a way they can surface that and like introduce more people to that content.
I don't know, for myself, I looked at that and I said, you're making this change to changing around. What did you give up to get changing from 3 characters? And I really couldn't think what it would be. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, it really does look as modern day high-end AAA game development, but you can flip between characters.
And it'll function as sort of, de facto fast travel. Hey, I'm 80 miles over here in the country. Oh, boom, I'm back in Beverly Hills. Or, it's just, it's really cool. I think it's going to be amazing.
And I love what it does for the storytelling too, because, as big as those games are, that Rockstar spoke to this a little bit, it's really hard to find a character that can be everything to everybody all the time. You run into this like narrative dissonance when there's Nico who's kind of struggling. He came over trying to get out of the life and he's getting sucked back in. So that's what's going on with him plot-wise, but then you're on the street with a missile launcher blowing up people, there's that dissonance there. And now they've I feel like they're sculpting out territory for the different characters. Like Trevor is the psychopath who is prone to just going on a violent rampage. It fits his character. And Michael's the more demure, like calculated, like thinker. So they have these different. And then Franklin, the third one, who we haven't spoke about, he's the young up and coming hustler. You know, he feels more like in the CJ mold of GTA characters. So it really, I think it's going to help the narrative stand up a little better as well.
And encourage gameplay styles. You know what I mean? Like, you know, sometimes you play a game and you're like, well, I'm the classic hero, I've got shining armor, I should probably be pretty good, right? You know what I mean? Like, you get kind of affected by those things. And in this case, you can be like, okay, I've been nice, I've been driving around trying to obey the laws, I'm gonna go break some laws and switch over to another guy and wreak havoc.
Yeah, and I love that scene. They show Trevor driving down the street, flicking people off, which I said you should try out in different circumstances. You know, like if you flick people off in the affluent neighborhood, it's going to have a different reaction than if you do it to a biker gang. But then he drives up and grabs that tank of gas and he just douses this truck with it, and you know, pours a trail away, and then he stands there and you can see like the glistening, you know, of the petrol. Drops the Zippo and it just lights it on fire, and like the possibilities for being able to do stuff like that with that character is.
And there'll be people too that'll be like, this is just, we're totally making things up. They're gonna be like, okay, I'm gonna jump out of this plane, and while I'm falling, you know what I mean, I'm gonna shoot the parachute with this guy over here. I mean, you can, there will be people that build crazy scenarios. Flipping back and forth between the three characters, and like, I mean, the YouTube videos are going to be hilarious. I mean, like, it's almost guaranteed.
And I think Franklin's a cool character. He seems to be a little tied back to San Andreas.
He's from South Los Santos, which is their Compton area. So
he's late 20s, I believe, mid to late 20s, and he's working for a Armenian, basically a loan sharking ring where it's
a luxury car dealership where they get these young up-and-comers who want to be like the status symbol guys, you know, which is obviously pretty prevalent in Hollywood. And they trick these guys into buying cars they can't afford, and when they're defaulting on the loans, Franklin's the guy who goes and plays the role of the repo man.
So that's probably where a lot of the car chase stuff will be, and it'll seem more natural because Michael wouldn't be the type of guy as calculated as he is to like go get in some reckless highway chase, probably. You know, whereas like it's part of Franklin's everyday
And again,
job.
his personality, he has access to luxury cars really early. Trevor is the guy who lives out in the sticks. He's a former military pilot. He has access to planes really early. So they're kind of bringing you up to all the stuff that people love about GTA really quickly.
I thought that kind of led very well into, like, you know, talking about the setting a little bit. You know, the change from New York City. Why don't you guys comment on that a little bit?
So the first thing I asked them is, why just one city instead of three? Because I know that's what the fans are going to ask. And they had a pretty convincing argument. You know, after going into such detail where they really captured the flavor of New York with Liberty City and 4, they wanted to do that to LA because that's such an interesting place. You know, like there's so many different walks of life that live there, and they felt like if they're really going to do LA right, you're going to need to put all your focus in LA.
Well, it certainly didn't make it small. In any way, shape, or form.
And that's the counterpoint. And for the people who are like, oh, well, it's just one city. Well, this world is bigger than the world of GTA 4, the world of Red Dead Redemption, and the world of San Andreas combined.
It's pretty mind-blowing. I mean, like,
and that's just in geographical square footage. That's not counting the insane level of detail over
exactly.
You know, San Andreas.
You can go up hiking in the Mount Chiliad. You can go deep sea diving. They have all this like coastal area that you can explore underwater.
I mean, when they mentioned underwater, I mean, I went like, you're kidding me, right? I mean, it really did seem.
I think you can play an 18-hole golf course and a full golf game.
Tennis. You know, like they figured out with Red Dead that it's better to focus in and make mini games really good as opposed to having a bunch of crappy ones. So they really honed in on that kind of stuff with this one. And I mean, this world is so, I mean, it's vast. There's vineyards, you know, there's Salton Sea.
And there's entire reality TV shows based off the crazy people that live in LA. I mean, there's no other place on Earth where you can find as many people to lampoon, than you can in LA.
Even the people that aren't on TV in LA feel like they should be on TV. You know, that's the kind of vibe you get from that place. And I think that, there's going to be a lot of stuff to parody in that city.
And I do remember when we first met Trevor out in Blaine County, and you see, you know, the mountains in the background. I kind of got that feeling of when we first saw the demo for like Oblivion, and they were like, you see that area way up there? That's not just like a texture. That's like, you can go up on that mountain. And you're like, whoa. And they said, you know, there's a mountain in the background, and you know, you can go all the way up there. There's animals. I think there's
four-wheeling,
ATVs, and all this crazy stuff. But it's just, that's what I thought Red Dead Redemption did so well, is that huge sense of that kind of vast space. And I like the fact that this game can give you all the urban stuff that you liked about GTA 4 and kind of give you all the sort of rural and open space stuff that you liked about Red Dead, and it's all in the same game, and it all makes sense because California is so vast and so diverse.
I mean, the thing that I loved about Red Dead, it's this huge world, but there was always opportunities, even when you were out in the middle of nowhere, you would come across those dynamic encounters. And they're going to bring that technology over here, so there might be a hitchhiker on the side of the road. Do you want to pick him up, see what goes on there? You know, maybe you're in the middle of the desert and you just pull up and there's 2 cars and a bunch of dead bodies. You know, is that a drug deal gone awry? I don't know. Maybe you know, dig in and see, or you can keep doing what you're doing. You know, they really figured out how to do that, and combining that with the density of the urban experience that they had in GTA 4 in downtown Los Santos. I mean, there's going to be a lot of stuff.
Or you could just hit the button, choose a different guy, and go do whatever he's doing.
They felt like a lot of people, like you said, don't see a lot of what these games have to offer, and by having 3 characters kind of in different areas doing different things, being able to jack in between those all the time, like hopefully a majority of the people that play this game will see a lot more of what these games have to offer, and it won't all just be, you know, kind of hidden stuff that you had to sort of seek out or drive, you know, 15 minutes to go find.
Yeah.
Well, now we've been introduced to these characters. This is the part in the demo where we get to, I mean, kind of the penultimate point of Grand Theft Auto 5, which is the heist. Why don't you guys explain, you know, the heist, what it does, and also too what it means and how it can be used in a lot of ways to affect gameplay and explore the world.
Well, when we asked them, so what do these 3 seemingly disparate characters have in common, or why are they the 3 playable characters? They sort of get put in this situation where we don't know all the details of this, but Trevor used to rob banks with Michael. They're old buddies, kind of, and Michael's this new up-and-comer that Michael stumbles across at some point and sees a lot of himself in him, I think. And
they seem to hint at sort of a fatherly relationship, you know, between him, because I think he's sort of estranged from his own son.
Yeah. So these guys come together and basically, rather than have it all build up into this one awesome last mission, you know, what they really wanted to do is sprinkle in these really intricate heist missions throughout the narrative. So you're not only just going to pull off heists, you're going to do all the prep work for the heists. Some of the missions you're just going to play as one of the guys, some of them you're going to play as 2, some you're going to play as 3, but it's really going to build up to these big 3-leaf clover type missions, which I think was almost the unanimous pick of the best mission at GTA 4. You know, the bank robbery and escaping down the subway tunnels. You know, there's going to be more stuff that's like that they really can bring out the different personalities of the characters together and put you in really cool places where they kind of explained it like, we're going to kill the flat spots in missions. So no more climbing 47 rungs up to a sniping point. One of the characters is going to go set up there, and then when it's advantageous, maybe you want to take the sniper role, you can just quick click and it's instantaneous. You're in that role, and they do it really smooth.
And I think from a design perspective, the benefit is that it sort of allows them to offer everything that's great about their open world games and everything to explore and discover, while in certain segments being able to sort of deliver that tight, I don't want to say scripted because it's happening in an open world, but like give that sort of sense of a really tight, amazing like sequence of action that you usually only find in games that are very linear. You know what I mean? And like, but this is all happening in an open world. So like the combination of those 2 things, like the flexibility and freedom, plus the sort of production values and that kind of wow moments, I think that's pretty cool. If you go back to, you know, say like GTA 3, where a lot of your missions were just like, you know, drive this truck full of drugs here, or like go here, kill a guy. You know what I mean? And this is kind of the best of both worlds, which I think is pretty exciting.
It is really exciting. And I also think, too, it's very interesting that you can use this then to tell a story or look at a story from 3 different sides, meaning that, like, hey, you go talk to that arms dealer and he sees you, you know, as Michael, and he's like, hey, I love you. And then when you're not there and he's talking to Franklin, he's like, that Michael guy is just a, you know, you can kind of see people for their true colors.
Right,
and even between the 3 main characters, you know, like you're going to see some tension there. I think it's pretty clear.
It looked like Franklin and Trevor don't get along terribly well. It's an uneasy alliance, I would say.
Well, he's a psychopath. I mean, like, I think there's a lot of, you know, he doesn't have a lot of like a support group that he hangs out with that makes things go better. Where do you go from here? You got these heists, they're building up to these huge things. I mean, obviously we weren't able to address multiplayer, but when you look at the menu screen, it's got 4 directions on it, one character, and then a blank. Obviously, you know, you got to assume that that's going to lead to, hey, I want to play multiplayer. Let's hope at any time when you're playing the game.
They did say no co-op.
No co-op, absolutely positively no co-op.
So it'll be within a competitive multiplayer thing. To me, it's like, with the 3 characters and the fact that they already have stated that crews that you formed, multiplayer crews that you formed in Max Payne 3 were carrying over, and the whole heist dynamic, I mean, and I think Birds probably agrees that there's got to be some aspect of like some sort of teamwork heist thing that goes into the competitive multiplayer.
Yeah, you've seen some games kind of scratch the surface of that. The Fragile Alliance and Kane and Lynch. 25 to Life, which is a terrible game, but you know it did have that cops and robbers angle to it in the multiplayer, and you know, like so people have tried it, but it's never really been hit out of the park. And I think Rockstar, with taking what they're putting into the single player and putting, you know, like using the multiplayer as a format to do the same thing, maybe that could be really interesting.
And if people are disappointed with no co-op, I mean, I think when you see the game, it's almost like it kind of seemed like you were playing a co-op game with yourself in certain respects, because it was like when we saw the mission, you know, was Trevor flies a helicopter to this building where they need to get this witness. He stops, then you switch to Michael. He's rappelling down while Franklin's on another building as the sniper point. And during this whole thing where, you know, he crashes through the window to grab this guy and takes him for cover, starts shooting guys. Then they go back to Franklin. He's sniping. And then, you know, at the end chase, you're back to Trevor and you're trying to evade these police helicopters. It was, I mean,
it was frantic.
It was frantic, and it was cool to see him in real time switching between, you know, it's like you're driving, now you're shooting at the other helicopter off the side of the helicopter.
Yeah.
I mean, it was.
And I think of the multiplayer potential for that. The guy who's the best driver, you're going to be the getaway driver. You're the best shot, you're going to be the sniper, and maybe I'm the guy who takes a lot of bullets. I'll be the front man.
Yeah.
You know? There's different ways that you can really create an awesome crew that can, you know, do heist jobs.
They can really execute it.
Yeah.
And I agree. I actually think it would be. I mean, I was kind of like, I don't think it should be co-op either. I mean, it really seems like you would spend more time arguing and bickering with your buddies on, you know what I mean, like Xbox Live or PSN, who does what, or don't do that yet.
Yeah,
or,
why
you know,
do you always get to be Trevor?
Yeah, this way you get to do it your way.
And I love Rockstar's storytelling, and I think making a game co-op, it does hinder some things that they can do storytelling. You know what I mean? Because if I'm playing with Bertz, and he's Trevor and I'm Michael, there might be because Trevor's really unstable. Maybe there's a time where he does something just crazy and screws up the mission and stabs Michael. I mean, I'm just speculating now, but, you know, it allows him to do narrative things that I think that wouldn't make sense, because, you know, if we're playing together, we're both trying to, you know, win. We're trying to do the right thing and get through the mission, whereas
they're already trying to juggle multiple characters, story threads.
Yes.
When you try to juggle multiple people's player agency, you know, that I think it can get a little muddled.
Yeah.
And almost every story break in most co-op games ends up being when people go to the restroom.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, any final thoughts you guys want to throw out there on GTA 5?
I'm always excited for a new Rockstar game and a new GTA game, but, you know, being able to see the demo, I think that whatever my expectations were, like, honestly, if all this is pulled off the way I think they can, it way exceeds my expectations. What they're giving you in terms of the 3 characters and the whole new structure, I think it's the biggest change to GTA probably really since GTA 3. It's not just more and bigger of the same. Like, this could really, I think, fundamentally change this game, and hopefully, I think, for the better.
Yeah, and I mean, usually when you see open world games this early, it doesn't come together like this.
Yeah.
You know, like they're really hard to design. You have so many different systems that are in play, and if one gets changed a little bit, it can throw everything else out of whack. And seeing everything kind of come together in real time as true gameplay, not just like a standalone level, you know, you're really impressed that they're that far along already with the technology jump that seems so difficult. I mean, I would not want to be on the programming team to figure out how to make all that stuff work. You know?
Hey guys, we're switching between 3 guys whenever we want in this giant open world that's bigger than all our other games combined.
Yeah.
Have fun.
Yeah. I'm sure that's a lot of late nights.
Even like when he was rappelling down the side and you saw like all these people kind of living and breathing in the indoor environments as he's going down the side, like seamlessly goes through the glass window and starts shooting people up. I mean, it seemed like there was just like wall after wall of what you expected, you know, an open world game to have as far as limitations, just knocked down repeatedly. It was very impressive.
A few games, and I love open world games, from the shooters to the RPGs to these kind of like crime-based games. And I really feel that Rockstar, more so than anybody else, gets the small details matter a ton.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and they do not spare any expense to make sure that their worlds feel alive.
Well, there's no other company in the world that is as passionate about its games than Rockstar. I mean, they want everything to be the best it can possibly be, without a doubt, and will do. I mean, I feel just about anything to get done. So I'm very confident they can pull this off. I mean, it's their own heist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like they got it's got a lot of things going on in it, but it will be very, very impressive, I think, when it finally comes out in spring. So thank you guys. Really appreciate your
it's fun.
feedback. Check out the article, read it, enjoy it. See ya.